Dalton, Riley, Wolves and Wagers. Big matchup against the Celtics, and we'll talk more about actually the keys to the game after these props, Ryan. These props consist a lot of Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, and we're going to get right into it. We're both on Ant over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think we both feel like that line is still too low. He's cashed in, I think, every game but one. And then I'm also tailing another bet of Anthony Edwards that I've been on for the last 3 or 4 games, and that's over the 24.5 points. Until that gets over 25, I'm going to keep cashing in on that line, right?
Yeah, I love that line at minus 105, getting that close to even money. I'm not on his points tonight for 24.5, but I am going to do a 30 piece again at plus 260. I just think it's too enticing. I get Celtics, tougher matchup defensively and whatnot, but that's when your stars got to come play. Ant's not going to be able to rotate the ball as much when you need buckets. So I like Ant 30 plus. I'm also going to be on his 3-pointers over 2.5 at minus 106. Just purely because, I get he shot 4 against the Jazz, but when you got to rely on the jumper a little bit more, when you have like a tough interior defense like the Celtics, I think he probably shoots 7 threes tonight. And I like him making 3. He's shooting still over 50% from deep on the season. So I like that play. And then I am going to still go to his rebounds and assists, minus 130 for over 9.5. I think he can almost get that alone by rebounding. He has, I think, twice this year already. And, you mix in a few assists there and that should cash.
Yeah, I like those Ant props. And I still think the disrespect towards Jaden needs to be kind of talked about. So I'm going to take 2 lines myself and you have one. But the over 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and then the over 11.5 points and rebounds. Once again, it's telling me if Jaden McDaniels can get in double figures and have a solid basketball game, he doesn't have to take over the game, just play a solid basketball game. I think he can easily reach both those lines. So I'll hammer both of those again, right?
Yeah, I get the foul trouble hurts and the injury, maybe he's still on a bit of a minutes restriction, but it would not surprise me if that PRA line that's currently set at 12.5 at one point this year is set up to like 18.5, 17.5, somewhere there once he's playing his consistent minutes. So eventually we're going to really cash out on these Jaden props when he blows by that number. I think tonight could be the night. That's why I'm on over 1.5 3-pointers at plus 180. I think he's going to probably shoot 4 corner 3-pointers, right? Because the Celtics are going to have to key in on Anthony Edwards. And so if Jaden, as long as he stays out of foul trouble, he's probably going to take 5, 6 3-pointers on the night, and he's a pretty knockdown shooter. So I like him making 2.
Yeah, at almost 2 units, you got to hammer home on that. And if he can knock down his threes, I also think that's going to be a big part of me taking Wolves money line at plus 144. Not super pumped at the plus 144, but I think the target center is really going to help out. And we can talk a little bit about the keys to the game and kind of why I'm tailing towards the money line side for the Wolves is based off Karl-Anthony Towns. If he can consistently play like he played last game especially, I think he could be a big-time mismatch. And then also Anthony Edwards doing his thing. But kind of start us off, Ryan. We can dive a little more into the matchup tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Love how it's at home. That's why I like your money line play on the Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Target center should be electric. You got the last remaining undefeated team in the league coming into your house, defend your home court. I think a big key for the Wolves is going to be how the 2 big lineup plays, because Boston is another team who kind of refuses to go elsewhere with that. And I get that because you have a guy like Jason Tatum who can play the 4, but they're not going to run 2 bigs. So can Cat hold up on the perimeter playing defense? He's had a great defensive rating this season next to Rudy. And can you punish Boston for playing a bit smaller, right? Can you punish them for using Derek White? Like, that's going to be a big key for me is how the bigs play tonight.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Rudy's going to be a huge part of the game, especially when you look at the box score, because I think they might run a lot of Nas and Cat together to kind of go against the Tatum, the Brown, and then obviously Derek White and Drew Holiday. Those 4 are going to play a lot of ball tonight together on the floor. So I think if you can get Nas and Cat going, and then Rudy can kind of just, not be a problem, not get into foul trouble and just kind of grab rebounds here and there. But yeah, really excited about that side of things, but kind of worried about Mike Conley.
Yep.
I think you are too, Rye, so I'll let you dive into it a little more.
Yeah, when I was looking at props today, I didn't see any Kyle Anderson props at the time when I was looking. I would have been all over those if I did see them. Thought about going Mike under for points, but they set it at 10.5. I wish they set that at 11.5 before I start taking unders. But it's just like we had talked about, Drew Holiday, right? Like, that's a tough defensive matchup. He's going to give Mike problems. He plays bigger than he is. So I think Kyle Anderson's going to have to come out there and help defensively, right? Like, you got to hide Mike. A good way to hide Mike is hide him on the bench and have Kyle Anderson run your point, right? And that's no disrespect to Mike, but I just don't think it's a great matchup. So Kyle Anderson's going to have to come in, play some point guard, have Ant at the 2, Jaden at the 3, and then you can still roll with your 2 big lineups consisting of any 2 of, the Cat, Nas, and Rudy, any 2 of those 3.
Yeah, and kind of my last big point for this game, and I'll kick it back to you, is I just really want to see a clean game from the bench all around. I want to see Kyle Anderson play a clean game, and he has. I want to see Shake Milton. I want to see Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and I want to see Nas Reed just not have some of those inconsistencies when it comes to either turnovers, missed shots, maybe on the defensive side a little bit. So those 4 can play really good basketball tonight. I think that's going to be a key factor in the Wolves getting the dub. But I'll let you finish out this episode, Rye, for the big matchup.
Yeah, I got nothing much else to add on top of that, but I am excited because, if you want to put the league on notice and be taken seriously, like, this would be a nice win. All of a sudden you're 4-2, you upset, in quotations, the team that's got the only remaining undefeated record in the NBA, right? Like that would be a nice win. I saw finally the national media is mentioning how the Wolves have the number 1 defensive rating in the league so far this season. Rudy's been an anchor. I agree. I don't know how much he's going to show up like in the box score, but he's still going to be playing, and he's still going to need to anchor the defense and contest shots at the rim. He can't let Tatum and Brown get easy looks, right? Like, you can't let them get going. So we're pumped for this matchup. Should be a hell of a game. But that's all we have for this episode, and stay tuned for future ones.